Welcome, Ateny Wek.
Brother, my one Gordon Motat, and it's my pleasure that to join you for the first time.
Thank you very much. You're welcome on RBC. Thanks for agreeing to appear on RBC. It wasn't easy, so it's a privilege for us to have you.
Thank you.
Okay. The biggest news in South Sudan now relates to the People's Coalition for Civil Action, and that's why we're having an interview with you, because we interviewed them before.
Well,
so the question is, why did the government ordered for their arrest? And while all they're doing is exercise their democratic right to express their opinion and view on how the country should go forward.
Well, I think the arrest came as a result of incitement of violence. And anybody actually inciting violence is an outlaw. Because if you are seeking any remedy through democratic means, you wouldn't call for people to march out against the government, when in actual fact, the government is implementing the revitalized peace agreement on resolution of conflict in the country. The only document that, if implemented, it can later on culminate into a democratic process, of which those of Ulich and Kwel, Edward Achep, and Rajab Mahadis could easily join after going for democratic process.
Yes, but they have not instigated violence. They have not asked for violence. They've asked for peaceful demonstrations, which you very well know, Ateny, when we lived here in the UK. It's normal. People are allowed to democratically protest. So if they are not popular, then they just make noise and they fizzle away. If they are popular, then the government has to listen. So why are you ordering their arrest when they have not called for any violence?
My one, United Kingdom is way back. Is very far from South Sudan. Things in South Sudan are completely different from what is happening in the United Kingdom, because the United Kingdom has very well established, institutions of government. South Sudan,
but peaceful demonstration. What is that against the law in South Sudan? Is it peaceful demonstration?
No, peaceful demonstration cannot be viable in South Sudan, given the background of the people. Most of the people are armed in South Sudan, and you never know who may actually get into inside the peaceful demonstrators and start shooting on them, and that would be actually blame on the government. So whoever is calling for going out in demonstrations in South Sudan is calling for an outlaw people or is calling for another anarchy in the country, because yes, when you go to our constitutions, we have Bill of Rights that were cited very well by the people for coalitions, People Action for Coalitions and Coalition for Actions. They have a stipulated number of Bill of Rights that the government of South Sudan has accepted as part of its law and the constitution. Article 24 allows the freedom of expression, and the 25 allows for the freedom of association. But since 2013, when the country was divided, when it entered into a civil war, the community, our communities are so divided to the extent that if a certain segment of society is demonstrating, the other members of society elsewhere may not be happy with that kind of demonstration, and they may inflict harm on those peaceful demonstrators, and that the government will view it as something that will jeopardize the process of maintaining security in the country. Because the only thing we are doing here, we are actually very, very well on doing is that the revitalized peace agreement or resolution of conflict is the only solution. The political solution is the only document that can provide a political solution, okay, to the problem of South Sudan. And therefore, those of Brother Woolwich and Ustaz Kwela, Rajab Mahandis, and Edward Achep could have simply, continued to be part of implementation of peace agreement. As I know, Woolwich was involved, Kwela was involved in the process of implementing the peace agreement or resolution of conflict in the country. But all of a sudden, they just changed something I will not even know what was the reason.
Okay, so what you are saying, basically, you agree with them that they are entitled to demonstrate, they are entitled to speak freely. It's just that you are afraid that the situation of the country does not allow for that sort of thing. You are worried that a third party, not the government, a third party might harm them or might cause chaos. Is that what you are saying?
Yeah, in fact, in any country that is democratic or is embarking on the democratic process, like South Sudan, when you look at its constitution is a democratic country. If the institutions are not yet built to be able to cope with the process of democracy, then it is because of the war that has been raging on in the country.
So that is why yes,
our institution are still weak to cope with people calling for demonstrations.
Excellent. So why did you not just turn down their application for demonstration and leave them free to speak?
They did not apply for any application for demonstration.
But you've ordered their arrest.
No, they didn't apply for it. They just launched.
They have not demonstrated. They have not demonstrated. So you should have just said, okay, you are not allowed to demonstrate, but you are allowed to speak. So why are they arrested? Why did you order their arrest?
But those arrested now are actually put in the cause of justice. They will go to court. They have broken the public order simply because they were calling for anarchy. Because when they call for demonstrations and they are calling for removal of the government, they say the government should be removed. You will not understand the means in which the government would be actually removed. And South Sudan is armed to the teeth. You cannot find 10 people without having 6 or 7 guns. So when somebody comes to call for people to march out, okay, during such situation when everybody is armed, you are even causing havoc. You are trying to cause havoc in the country.
Okay. Let's move on. Would you agree with me that all the resources accessible to the government of South Sudan, all economic resources accessible to the government of South Sudan, including the oil proceeds, belong primarily to the people of South Sudan?
Anything economically belongs to the people of South Sudan. If you talk about the transparency, you talk about maybe some sort of corruption, okay, this is not whole of it. Yes, there is no country in the whole world that has done away, with corruption. There are pockets of corruptions happening anywhere, including even the most established democracies. What becomes the problem is when a corrupt person is not brought to book. This is where the problem is, and it goes down to the difficulty of proving that such person is corrupt. And like if you go to anti-corruption, the anti-corruption would want a citizen who know exactly that official so and so has corrupted the public money, and they would bring the evidence to the anti-corruption. If you don't bring such evidence to the anti-corruption cannot just go out. If you find someone building a house, then you tell them if they are official, then automatically you say they are corrupt. Anybody, anywhere, is allowed to own some sort of a property, whether it be the building or be the cars. If you don't know the source, of where they actually obtain those properties, you will not automatically just conclude that they are corrupt until when you raise an evidence that can lead to.
I agree. It's a challenging process, but the question is, South Sudan has earned billions and billions and billions of dollars since 2005, and by the admission of the government, by the admission of our president himself, and many senior SPLM officials, we have failed to deliver the minimum, whether towards education, towards roads, towards employment, towards the health service. So where has the money gone? We're not talking about minor corruption here. We are talking about a large-scale plundering of the nation's wealth.
Mawan, I agree with you on the basis that services have not been delivered to satisfaction of the people of South Sudan. But at the same time, people of South Sudan can vividly, recall the fact that when we gained independence on July 9, 2011, we only had less than 3 years before we start going to war. And the civil war has been raging on for the last 6 or 7 years. There's no country that has managed to fight civil war and at the same time delivering services to the satisfaction of people. At the time, before the 2013, there was a conference that was going to be convened, a conference, what is called investment conference, in which all the wealthy people around the world were to converge on South Sudan on the 15th of December 2013 in order to take major investment in the country. But unfortunately, on the same 15th, on the wake of the National Liberation Council deliberating on the two documents, the guiding principle and the constitution of the party, the war within the SPLM raged on, and the whole country was engulfed in civil war. So, government of South Sudan failed to deliver services to a maximum level simply because it plunked into a civil war. And because of civil war,
I understand.
Money that were supposed to be earmarked for development all went for the war.
I understand.
And then that was senseless and at the same time costly. So yes, that is the reason. And I know those of Abraham Awulich as time and again written, written document that the government has turned into a policy in several occasions, because Abraham Awulich is one of the people running the Sut Institute, which has been, very instrumental to government of South Sudan adopting policies from their writing. And Abraham Awulich has done a lot of making things happening. I don't know where did he get frustrated when in actual fact he has been involved in the process of making South Sudan a better place to live.
Yes, hopefully we'll have a chance. Maybe one day you two could debate on RBC and you could address that question to him. He definitely has his frustrations and has enlisted them. One of them is he does not believe that the government is actually ready to deliver peace. He does not believe that democracy will come or that the elections will be held. What did you say about that?
No, I don't think he actually, believed in that very long time ago. Abraham Awulich was the secretary of the National Dialogue, which was a mechanism, devised to implement peace in the country before signing of the revitalized peace agreement on September 2018. Abraham Awulich has been instrumental in the writing the recommendations that were actually arrived at during the National Dialogue for 4 years. And the same view that the National Dialogue has actually taken is the same view that Abraham Awulich has just came out with it, and he actually single-handedly took it as he is.
Yeah, they came to a conclusion. Yes, I agree that the national dialogue was conducted throughout the country very democratically, with the great support and total support of our president, which was a great credit to him. But the conclusions, the final conclusions of the national dialogue included one thing, which is that the people of South Sudan have collectively come to identify that the bottleneck now towards the big obstacle towards South Sudan moving to the next stage, restoring democracy, restoring hope, is the personalities of President Kiir and Riek Machar, because the two are not getting on, and that has become an obstacle to South Sudan moving on. So a request has been made, and it was official. You yourself know, a request was made that the two should step aside, not be ostracized, not be removed, not be imprisoned, not at all. They will be recognized as our historical readers, but they should step aside and maybe elect individuals to succeed them so we can go to the next phase and face the elections. What would you say? But the government rejected this, and that has become a sticking point, and it's one of the reasons that our village is frustrated. So please, you're welcome to say your view.
You know, Brother Mawan, when I hear somebody talking about President Kiir and Riek Machar stepping aside, I always, feel pity for the people who call for the two principles in the South Sudanese conflict to step aside, both of them. I always pity for them simply because I know somebody who would call for President Kiir and Riek Machar to step aside is somebody who is not aware of our dynamics and the political dispensation in the country. If you are aware, President Salva Kiir, in one hand, is the stabilizing factor and is the unifying factor. If he decides now, as I speak with you, to step aside, what will ensue afterwards will be chaos in the country, because up to the moment I'm speaking to you, there's no clear successor as to who should succeed President Salva Kiir. Because the process
should he not choose somebody now?
No, the process in which the successors are actually eyed is when there is democracy, the process of democracy. The process, like for instance, the party go for, with its convention, they go and nominate or vote for their candidates. Then their candidates will later on in the Liberation Council will vote for those who will be in the political bureau of the Sudan People Liberation Movement Party, and then the political bureau will be the one to pick who should be the president.
Yes, why shouldn't the president push for that now? Because the SPLM is a party. Why can't he not do that? Okay.
Things start with the SPLM. Peace start with the SPLM, and war start with the SPLM. This is something that people need to.
But the SPLM-IO has moved now. It's a separate party now.
No. Not yet, because the SPLM-IO is still sticking on the SPLM. They just put I and O as suffix on the.
But they have
SPLM.
their own political bureau. They have their own political bureau.
But they have not yet registered a political party. This is just a transitional arrangement. So when you talk about Riek Machar stepping aside or President Kiir stepping aside, then you are calling for a war in the country or the anarchy in the country. I'm not saying that the future of South Sudan is hanging on them. Okay, they are human beings. Okay, and the force of nature can even come in. But I'm talking about the current political arrangement. The current political arrangement is that the interim period, should elapse comes 2023, and 6 months before the elapse of the interim period, the transitional period, there has to be an election in the country. People of South Sudan will be put for the first time, on the election to choose their leaders. But anybody asking for the change of leadership before that process is actually asking for South Sudan to kill itself. It's like calling for a suicide. Now, I tell you, if this is what the simple action is for, because they are asking for the regime to be changed in a manner they are prescribed to. I was thinking that they were so elusive, considering that they might have even forgotten how South Sudan came to be what it is today.
Okay, so you are saying that the president is not possible to call SPLM-IG separately to call for a convention so that new leadership is elected. The president cannot do that.
No, he can do that, but also, his space and time is required.
But that would be good, because this is the SPLM-IG will be able to elect a new, younger president who will be able to face.
Well, we don't have the naming of SPLM-IG is a subject that was fixed into the SPLM by the mediators.
So who is controlling the registration of the parties? Why can't the parties be registered now?
No. Now the process of reforming the party are now ongoing. That is why recently the political bureau sat and nominated Peter Lambert as the acting Secretary General of the SPLM, in order for him, with the secretariat, to drive towards reforming the party, and also allow the party political process to begin, and the nomination from the Liberation Council to political bureau is going to happen. But it needs also time and space, simply because the whole thing now is about how to implement peace agreement. But the peace agreement also is calling for the political parties to be registered, and to make sure that they are real political parties by the time for going to the election.
So Ateny, you're really assuring us now, you're assuring the South Sudanese that the reform of the parties is part and parcel of the peace agreement, and that the SPLM is going to be reformed, as whether it's as IG or as IO, they might become two separate parties, and proper conventions will take place, and there will be a proper democratic process by which either the current leaders will get a new mandate or new leaders might be chosen moving into the next election. Is that what you are saying?
Yeah, of course, there has to be, some process. The SPLM-IO has to register itself, okay? Either getting a new name for its party, or if it is allowed for them to register a party in which IO will be added into the SPLM, then they will have to register their, distinct political party, whereby Dr. Yak would be their flag bearer during the elections, comes 2023. On the other side, which is the SPLM, I always dislike the fact that IG is added into the SPLM. If if I become Mawan IO, then you cannot change your name. You will still continue to be Mawan Gordon Mota. I cannot go back. I cannot go back to name you again because somebody become Mawan IO. The SPLM is SPLM.
Okay.
And whoever has chosen to leave and add something into its name, okay, will be called so. But the SPLM continue as SPLM. So SPLM as a political party is now on the process of reforming and restructuring its organs before the coming of 2023.
And there will be a proper convention in which candidates could be selected, and someone like Ateny Wek can stand against President Kiir if he wishes. Chairman Kiir, in this case.
Of course, within the SPLM political bureau, the members of the SPLM political bureau, or the members of Liberation Council, according to the constitution of the SPLM, whoever is willing to be the flag bearer of the SPLM other than the President Salva Kiir, will put his nomination forward within the party, and the election within the party will go on between President Kiir and whoever wants to challenge President Kiir within the structure of the SPLM, within the SPLM as a party. Only that we hoped this time whoever wanted to challenge President Salva Kiir within the SPLM does not resort to guns if he is defeated by President Salva Kiir. And I know President Salva Kiir can defeat whoever within the SPLM that would want to run against him within the political party. But I hoped no guns to resort to when you are defeated in the democratic process.
Good. Okay. Can you give us a time scale in which this could happen? The transformation of the parties ahead of the elections. When do you think this can happen? In the next year, between now and the end of 2022, or when do you think it's going to happen?
It has begun now because last week the new acting Secretary General was actually elected, was nominated by the chairperson of the party and endorsed by the members of the SPLM political bureau. And there are also nominations for the 2 deputies which are ongoing. The right people will be nominated in the next sitting. After nominating the Secretary General and his 2 deputies, then the next thing for them is to sit as the Secretariat now, restructure the Secretariat, and then call for the convention, so that the conventions come and nominate or elect new members of National Liberation Council. When this organ is done, because one organ does the other. If the convention is not called, you will not have new faces in the Liberation Council, because the Liberation Council is fed by the convention. If there is no convention, like the convention of 2008, okay, now if you are calling for the members of the National Liberation Council, you will be calling the very people who were elected in 2008, because there has never been any other convention. So the new convention have to be called so that they come and elect the new National Liberation Council. And the National Liberation Council in turn will go and also elect the political bureau members. The chairperson of the party is elected directly from the convention. So whoever wanted to challenge President Salva Kiir in the leadership of the SPLM have to do it in the convention, not the other way around, because the other organs are not the one electing the president, the chairperson of the party. The chairperson is elected within the convention. So it is the convention. If the convention has endorsed President Salva Kiir as their flag bearer, any member of political bureau or any member of National Liberation Council cannot challenge President Salva Kiir again if President Salva Kiir has managed to get endorsed from the convention. That's how it is working.
Yes.
Only the president will have to wait. If he is elected as the chairperson of the political party called SPLM, then he will have to wait for the flag bearers of other political parties, and then they go to the constituents to now decide. It is the people of South Sudan that will decide between the flag bearers of different political parties.
Exactly, and this also could be an opportunity for the president to, as it's been demanded by so many people, by the National Dialogue, by the steering committee of the National Dialogue, and now by the People's Coalition, is that the president could take this as an opportunity to concede to the people's desire, preserve his great legacy, and step aside and let the convention to choose a different person. Isn't that also a possible likelihood scenario of this?
You know about what?
Yeah.
I'm laughing. You know what? when you ask someone to do something and you give him the term of reference, that person should not overstep the mandate that was given to him or her. You know, the national dialogue was initiated by President Salva Kiir when the peace agreement fails in Juba on the wake of the of July 8th. July 8th, dogfight in year one. President Salva Kiir, owing to the fact that he wanted good for this country, and because the SPLM IO was not ready to negotiate in good faith, President Salva Kiir saw the opportunity to set up the national dialogue in order for national dialogue to continue to engage the people of South Sudan. And their term of reference were to collect the information from people, and then the recommendation should go to the president himself to implement. When they started calling for president to step aside, it became contradictory to their term of reference, because President Salva Kiir did not tell them, or any term of reference that was given to them did not include asking for the president to step aside.
But they're saying it was the demand of the people.
Because no, national dialogue, the members, in order to be a member of national dialogue, is a consensus, by one. It's not like when you go to Rumbek and you stand there in your constituency and your constituents vote for you, you become the member of parliament, okay? And then you call for certain leader to step aside. That is a different scenario because you have the people mandate, okay? But when it is consensus, Ateny Wek asked to nominate 5 people to come from a will to the national convention. I will bring my friends. I will be asking 5 people, the people that I know before. So even the process itself wasn't democratic. How can something which was not democratic become democratic to the extent of even calling for the president to step aside? That was completely out of questions.
Okay.
If you talk about civil collusion, the civil collusion is an organization that was formed by some of our colleagues who became frustrated because what they had wanted to achieve, they did not do it. I know, with my respect to Brother Awulich, I know Brother Awulich one time was vying for the position of the governor of Lagos State. And he spoke to me and some of our colleagues in order to advocate for him. And I even discussed that with the president. I said, before the appointment of Makur Kulak, I said, if the Lagos State governor has to be from Aliap, I see somebody like Abraham Awulich as the right person, because this is a guy that is so sophisticated. He's well educated. Let's try now to see the well-educated person becoming governor of Rumbek, so that we see if he can do it. What came to the opposite, taking Awulich as the governor, was the fact that the criteria of the person needed for Rumbek or for Lagos State is a military person. That is why it went to Makur Kulang. But Abraham was interested to be governor. It is of recent past. Again, he started to also develop his interest of becoming a minister in the national government. He did not also get it. Brother Kwelagwer was up to the 2 or 3 days before the signing of the coalition. He was vying for the position of a Ministry of Finance, of a Minister of Finance. These are the very people who were so committed to the SPLM. I know Kwel was very, very, very committed to the SPLM, the former governor of Kwel. Up to 2 days before the signing of the coalition, he was thinking one day he would be picked for the Minister of as the Minister of Finance, and did not go his way. After some days, we heard that he appended his signature on the civil coalition. When I read the document, the 12-page document, I could only see frustration on that document, because how long ago did they come to realize that this government is a failed one, when in actual fact some of them were vying for the position 2 or 3 days prior to the time of signing for the coalition to remove the corrupt, according to them, and the failed government.
Okay. Let's move on to a few more things. Will the elections happen as planned, and when will they take place? Can the government give us a date for the elections so the South Sudanese could be expectant and prepare themselves for national elections?
Well, there's no date I will give, as I speak for one stakeholder.
Can you mention the year?
I speak for the government. I speak for the office of the president. I speak for the president, and the president is the head of the party to revitalize peace agreement on the resolution of conflict in the country. There are other parties, be they SPLM, IO, SAWA, OPP, and the FDs. These are different people. When they come as parties in the agreement, I don't speak for them. And the agreement has left some of the things, particularly the timetable of going for election, has left it for the parties to discuss it. They can discuss it later on and give the date. But for anybody who is a South Sudanese, who knows the seasons in South Sudan, if the election is going to be 2023, it would be between January to May, because January to May is the only dry season.
Okay, so we can assume those months in 2023.
These are not accessible after May.
2023, between January and May, that would be a good indicator, right?
Yeah, between January and May. Any sensible person aware of the situation in South Sudan, aware of the geography of South Sudan.
Yeah, seasons and accessibility of the roads.
January to May is the right time for election, if
excellent.
People are expected to move.
Excellent. So,
but in other places like Upper Nile, when it is May, after May, most of the places in Upper Nile are not accessible. And this is a very big sector.
Thank you for that. Yeah, thank you for that. So roughly 2023, can you assure us that the elections will be free and fair, and that they will be conducted by a trusted third party like the African Union or the United Nations?
No, there's no any sovereign country that gives its own process out to another country.
No, but we are not under normal. You yourself admitted that South Sudan is not going your normal process now. We went through a terrible war. Let me finish the question. We went through a terrible war. The situation is so unstable that you cannot even allow people to demonstrate. So it shows that in order to gain the trust of the people, of everybody, it would help for a third party to conduct it. For example, we did that in the CPA because we could not recognize Sudan. We could not trust Sudan. We could not trust each other. So we brought in the International Organization for Migration. that was the compromise. I'm asking you along the same lines. Are we happy? Are we ready to bring in an independent third party that all the peace partners agree on?
Mawat, elections is one of the process any given sovereign country exercise. Yes, it must be free and fair, because in order for any election to be credible, it must be free and fair. And the process of making an election free and fair is by allowing the monitors to come in. The third party can monitor it, be it United Kingdom, United States, UN agencies, and you call all the countries in the world to come and monitor the election. We will allow them to monitor the election. The process of making the election is ours, because we are a sovereign country and is a part of a sovereignty. Any country in the world exercise its election. So we will be exercising the election, provided we are helped and monitored by those who are well placed in monitoring the election. It will be incumbent upon them to state clearly that the election was free and fair, or they say there has been a fraud in the election. It will be for them to say. But the fact that the election is done will be done by the government of South Sudan. Transitional of national unity, that will include all the parties in the agreement. I'm praying that the whole out group would be inside the government by the time we go for election.
Okay,
and
thank you.
A government that is so inclusive, holding election, whereby within the staff of the election commission, which are actually meant to be independent, the process of nominating them would be done transparently by the parties in the agreement before going for election.
Thank you very much. We'll move on.
Agents, you will have your agent.
Yeah.
For you and all this.
I do understand. You're saying this is going to be run by the unity government and is going to be observed by the international community and African Union. I understand that. We move on. Just a couple more questions about corruption. One thing that the coalition, the People's Coalition for Civil Action is saying is that corruption is so rampant to the extent, for example, the first thing I'm going to ask you is that money can even arrive at the airport to be given to individuals, and this oil money shared to individuals, and people take their own portion of it. Is this correct?
No, I don't think that is true. Government of South Sudan and its banking system are still intact. All the monies that come
talking about the banking system, how much do we earn a day from oil, and how much of that reaches the central bank?
Well, I'm not aware of figures, Bawan, as I don't follow up, how much should come to the bank. This is for the Bank of South Sudan and Ministry of Finance to talk about.
But you are saying that the bulk of the money that we earn daily goes to the central bank.
Yeah, I said any money that comes to the country, particularly the oil money and non-oil money, they all go to central bank. From there, if they go to the government account, then the Minister of Finance is the one that authorizes the spending.
Yeah, this is what should happen. This is what should happen.
So
but is this what
process?
This is what should happen. But is this what happens?
It is what happening now.
Okay.
It is happening. So the Minister of Finance authorized the monies, he authorized the spending, and also authorized the collection. If there are individuals who manage to get money or get their hand into money in a better unauthorized manner, that is a corruption, of course.
That's out of the law. And do you?
But that corruption cannot be just said as a literature. But what I used to write in a column back to the days before the independence of South Sudan,
I know.
and slightly the independence of South Sudan until the time when I was appointed to this office.
I know. I know.
Whenever I talk about Mawan being corrupt, I always have the document that is showing you receive money that you don't deserve. I have never mentioned anybody. I have seen people having money. I have seen people having skyscrapers, building skyscrapers. But in Juba, these people were not having money when South Sudan gained independence. But there's no way I could have talked against them, because if I talk against them, I will end up in prison simply because I have no evidence. I have no clue as to where did they get money. So if you know someone has money and you don't know the source, you cannot call that person corrupt until you know the source. It is the source that is corrupt, not the money. You can have money, but if the source is clean, then it cannot be called corruption. So our brothers in civil collusions, they are elusive to some issues here about corruption. Corruption is a that all of us must fight. Nobody can even defend on corruption.
Yeah, they've got two other examples. They've got two other examples.
I don't like corruption to the maximum.
There are two other
corruption.
There are two other examples. Let's move on. There are two other examples about excessive corruption in South Sudan. One, for example, is that this Juba Bore Road is consuming so much money, billions literally, and yet it hasn't reached there. It's not open to scrutiny by third party, for example, like the chambers of commerce or by the auditor's office or by the press or by parliament. It's just in the name of the president. Nobody knows how much money is going there. And some people are saying it's basically a basket where a lot of money goes, where only a small proportion actually going on the road building, and many people are making money out of it. So could you explain what's exactly going on in terms of financing the Juba Bore Malakal Road?
That's not true, Marwan. First of all, if there is any major developmental project that is being carried out in South Sudan, you count Juba Bore Road as one of them. And you count Juba Bore Road as one of the developmental project that will go down to the history as a legacy for President Salva Kiir. This road, as the standard of any other highway road in a developed well, whereby around 4 cars or 6 cars will be actually at one lane. This project is not consuming money the way it is said. It consumes money because it is expensive to build a road that can take 5 cars in one lane. And this, by the way, is going up to Malakal. And for the first time of history of South Sudan, there has never been any project, whether a debt project or what, that a road would be going to Malakal from Juba.
We appreciate all that. The question now, is it open to scrutiny? Are you happy to show me that it's accessible to people to scrutinize the finances?
Yeah, of course, it's accessible. The parliament is now going to be, it has been sworn in. The parliament is there, okay, to scrutinize whatever is spending that will come later on. But I want to tell you, this project of Bore Road was transparent when it was allocated, when it was allotted to the better company that is actually engaging in it. It was transparent, and there's nobody making money out of Juba Bore Road or even the Juba Bar Al Ghazal Road, because these were the projects that were done in a very transparent manner, and they are going according to the plan. Only those who are jealous, who doesn't want President Salva Kiir to have a legacy, are the one now criticizing the process of making roads from Juba to Bore and then to Malakal. But there's nothing other than being an envy. He's an envy for seeing President Kiir doing this huge project.
Yeah, another concern is the question of debt. When we inherited South Sudan, when South Sudan became independent, we were considered to be a middle-income country. Our income was per year was greater than that of Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania put together. At the moment, we are suffering, and I take your point that the war has cost a lot, but it hasn't cost us to the extent that we should be pre-selling all our oil until 2027. According to Abraham Awolij, the oil has been pre-sold at least until 2027. South Sudan has no income from oil, since all that oil money is going to people that we owe money to. What did we spend the money on?
No, to be honest with you, oil business I think is one of the most complicated. Is one of the most difficult also at the same time. I don't have the data of how much money that comes to the country as a result of selling oil,
or how much we owe to others, or how much we owe to others.
The country on the non-oil revenue. I don't have the data. But talking as a South Sudanese, oil is what is now providing the services that the people of South Sudan at least heavily enjoyed, simply because.
But what services? What services? Because what services? Because officials are not being paid.
So I'm talking about service. Now let me explain.
Schools and hospitals. We don't ever find teachers. So I'm going to let you come in. I'm going to let you come in, Ateny. But what I'm trying to say, you said services. But when we've asked the people who had these services, like education, we contribute less than 2% to education. The rest is paid by by other countries like the UK. I mean, it's a shame on us, education. And even that, only a small proportion is actually delivered. Teachers are leaving education because they cannot teach. The same thing is happening to doctors. I heard a sad story where a doctor, this brilliant young doctor, walks to work every day. He takes 2 hours to 3 hours to get to work. And when his boss, a senior doctor, noticed that this amazing doctor is late every time, he asked him, and he said, I don't have any means of transport. I can't get to work. So you are saying to me that we are spending on services. But what services? Which services? We saw a man, we saw an SPLM soldier whose wife has died. This person has fought for the country. He has fought in Upper Nile. He's fought in recent wars. His wife is dead. He's carrying his baby on his back with his uniform and going into Juba town to beg for money.
But
where is the money?
Countries are not judged on isolated cases, because I believe even in United Kingdom there are people who sleep on the street.
Not soldiers. Not soldiers. The soldiers are not being paid.
And the country
we know the soldiers are not being paid. Yeah.
I'm coming to the point. I do understand the challenges. I do understand the challenges the country
faces. Yes, so at least admit that. Yeah.
Including the fact that there's no proper salary in the country.
Thank you.
Because salaries don't pay for anybody working. It's like not working completely, because the salaries are very, very minimal.
And that's when they arrive. That's when they're actually paid. Sometimes they're not paid for 6 months.
Yeah. A salary that is received by a soldier, okay, is 100 times below the minimum wage of a soldier in East African countries. I do accept that. We have not adjusted our salaries.
So where is the oil money going? When our income is greater than Tanzania, Kenya, and Uganda put together, where is the money going?
No, I'm talking about that. Just give me time. I said the salaries, where the minimum salary in South Sudan, okay, was $600 minimum salary, which was bigger than all these countries combined. But as our economic started, to nosedive with the war raging on, okay, the dollar rate went up to the extent the 1,200 minimum wage, which is $600 equivalent back to 2007 was dwarfed by the fact that the dollar is beating the pound. And there's no country you pay people in dollars, you pay them in pound. But in South Sudan, it started properly by putting minimum wage at $600. Now, because the salaries are not adjusted, a soldier, a private in the police or in the army, receive $1,200, £1,200, which is equivalent to nothing as we speak. Okay, because the dollar now, $100 is 40,000 SSP. So it is the power that collapsed in the face of the dollar. But in 2007, okay, $2, oh no, $1, one pound was $1.
£4
Okay.
in 2012. It was four in 2012 before the war. It was £4 to a dollar.
When you were giving £1,200, you were giving $600. And now, £1,200 has been dwarfed. And President Salva Kiir has already given orders, okay, to increase the salaries. And the salaries of soldiers are going to be increased by 100%. Okay? Now, South Sudan is working to increase the salaries. That is the challenge we all understand, that people are badly paid. But the service I'm talking about, Marwan, is that the oil kept this country, by the way, okay, out of collapse. Because if there was no oil, if South Sudan was not having any oil, South Sudan government would have collapsed. It could not have even found anything to supply fuel from, because we don't have refinery. It is the same crude oil that we transport through Port Sudan and sold it in the international market, that we get the money and we use half of it to buy the refined oil from Kenya, okay, to South Sudan in order to supply generators and cars, even the public transport. If we don't supply South Sudan with the refined oil bought from the money in which the crude oil was sold, people will be walking, footing in Juba. There will be no public transport. This is the responsibility the government has taken. And the government was even subsidizing. What happened to the subsidy was when it was abused by certain people who wanted to use black market. You ask for 1 tank of the fuel in a subsidized price in an attempt to go and use it for public transport, or use it for electricity, or use it for anything that will benefit people of South Sudan. And you go and sell it in a black market. When the government saw it like that, it was decided that NILPAT should not continue to subsidize the fuel. And we have addressed, the same black market price, so that cars are running in Juba, in Malakal, in Wau, in other major cities in South Sudan. This is a service, by the way, to be honest with you.
Absolutely.
If it is dropped,
absolutely. But I completely agree with you. This is great, Ateny. But obviously, I was asking you the questions. I was asking you
electricity. Yeah. Now Juba has electricity. Okay. Anybody who have money can buy, pay as you go, and put it in your, and it will run 24/7. Now, do you know how much fuel it is consumed? That power plant needs government to pay $3 million every month on it in order to run.
$3 million to electrify Juba households.
In order for the Juba power plant to run, you need $3 million every month, and the government is the one paying. in order for the service to continue. Otherwise, Juba will black out again, like when we got it in 2005 when we came to Juba as the capital of the then Southern Sudan. The other service I'm talking about, you know, this country is a country for all of us. And if anybody is looking for, a time or a space to attain the leadership or to accede to the leadership, you must do it in a manner that is approved by internationally. You cannot take arms overnight and you wanted to overthrow the government of the day. That government, if it has also resources like the seed that come from the oil, you will find, okay?
It will have to become the constitution. We understand. We have no disagreement. We have no disagreement on that. We have no disagreement on that.
So,
all I'm going to say now.
Any little money that comes while the war was still going on, okay, did not contribute into a better service for the people.
That's right.
We understand that. We have not done better service.
But what people are saying, all that is good. But what we need to do, what the government needs to do, what you need to advise the president and advise the government, and everybody has to do, including the parliament, holding the government to account. What needs to happen in South Sudan is for all these processes to be open and transparent. So, for example, the way I'm talking to you now should be normal. People like me should be able to talk to you like this in Juba, and you should be open to try and explain to South Sudanese. And I'm really appreciating this process because the way you've spoken to us today, a lot of people are going to be happy about it because you are giving a chance for people to hear what's going on in their country. With the windows closed, we do not know what's going on, and you allow opportunity for opportunists and gossip makers to fill the space. The more you are open, the more you are transparent, the more the things that you are doing well, even the things that you are doing well that nobody hears about, the more they are going to be found out. So what I would like you to promise me, if possible, is that I want to be able to find at the next stage to speak to someone that has financial data that will be able to explain to us more thoroughly what's going on with the economy in South Sudan. And if you could do that for me, we'll talk later on after this. That would be fine. Okay, I want to move on now to just a few more questions. Yeah, I want to move on to a few more questions about our leadership. People are saying that President Kiir does not think about the population. For example, we had wars in Warab, we have wars in Lakes, we had floods in Bor, we have disasters in Unity State. But rarely has our president ever gone to visit our people, to visit the victims, to explain to them. Not even that. He doesn't regularly, and this is something that you could arrange, Ateny Wek, because me and you, we were youth, we were students when the mayor was reigning in Sudan. He spoke to his population once every month. Why we need this window? We need our president to be accountable. We need our president to be seen to be concerned. What is going on?
In fact, this is another challenge, but particularly the war, which is actually the cattle raiding and the cattle rustling, in Warab and Lake State,
and the floods,
which in some point culminated into the killing of the people. Okay, it started as a cattle raiding, started as a cattle rustling, which later on culminated to killing and the revenge killing. President Kiir addressed that when he actually toured Bahr al-Ghazal in 2019. When he toured Bahr al-Ghazal in 2019, he talked almost in every corner of Bahr al-Ghazal. And Marwan, President Kiir wanted to be traveling to every state, every time. But do you know how expensive it is to travel for the president in Torah to go to Wow or to go to Awil or to go to, if it is in one go, it's very expensive. But now he has a plan. He will be actually planning to travel to one given state and come back to Juba. And then it goes to another state and come back to Juba. Go to another state to come back to Juba. President Kiir is willing to do that. He's willing to engage the people of South Sudan and inform them about what is going on in his leadership. Anytime the opportunity avail itself. The only problem is the challenges, the economic challenges we are in. We have something that is so difficult, Brother Mawan. Our people don't contribute into our economy, mostly, because people refuse to work. That is why foreigners has come in to actually fill the gap. I'm not xenophobic when I'm talking about foreigners. I know I have been a foreigner in one given country before. It's good to allow foreigners to come also and invest in the country. But there are small jobs that gives people, multi-millions of dollars. And South Sudanese are not willing to take it. Cultivation, in order to cultivate what is enough for your feeding and your children, people don't do it.
There's no stability.
You go to Baragazal
no
now.
Markets.
Yeah, now people rely only on aid, on foreign aid. How do you put somebody who is relying on foreign aid to be economically viable? When government is said to be building or giving and delivering services, he's also giving advice to the people in order to do what they want for themselves. Now, there are places whereby the insecurity has even created itself within the people, like in Lagos State or in the Warabi State, whereby one given person who wanted actually to cultivate may be cultivating and is fearing revenge attack elsewhere. But what is wrong with a place like Awil? People are not cultivating. What is wrong with other places that at least are serving as a beacon of stability? Okay, people are not working. You find very few people working in order to let the ends meet. What happened? What was making our economic stronger was because people were working and were contributing into the economy. Now everybody is waiting for the government to be the one bringing service. Even when you eat in your own house, you want the government to provide it for you. I don't think there is any country of that kind that managed to flourish economically when its people are not working. Now we have a majority of graduates from universities. When you go into trees here in Juba, wow, you will find hundreds, if not thousands of graduates sitting under the tree, sipping the tea, and starting gossiping. Okay? Now they would be talking about government not providing job for them. But what does people go to university in order to be employed by government? If you are a graduate, a real graduate from the university, can you not create your own job? Can you not find something that you do instead of just sitting and resign completely to sipping tea under the tree? Now you are talking about economic because you are you graduated from College of Economics from University of Juba, and you are sitting under the tree. You are talking about economic theories that you were equipped during your studies, and you are not applying them, and you think you are helping the country. The problem is everybody is expecting government to do things, miracles, while the people are just wanted to stay idle and start talking about what has not been done right. Okay, they are not talking about what has been done right. This is where the problem is. If people start now to talk about what a given person has done right and what he has not done right, then even the government can even adjust. Even some people from the government can adjust themselves. But now everybody has equipped himself or herself with a lethal gossiping. People only do see a bad thing that is done by government official. They are not seeing a good thing that the government is doing. This is where the problem is.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying in conclusion, majority of what the the civil coalition for action has been advocating for, is because of this kind of gossiping. Some of them are just illusion and illusion.
Yes, but yeah, but I know you are not in charge of this, but this happen all over the world. You might have social issues like this where people might not be taking up opportunities and so on. But the youth might be able to say it's not just that they are not being employed by the government, but the government has not brought programs about to help to open opportunities for the youth. They have not created the markets. They have not given enough incentives. So rather than attack the youth, I think the government would look much better if they seem to look at the problem, study the problem, and deliver solutions. Because you can attack your citizens, but these are the citizens that vote you in. It's not going to solve the problem. What is going to solve the problem is you create enough incentives. The reason they are sitting under the trees. Wait, the reason they are sitting because, let me finish. The reason they are sitting under the trees is because it happens. They can't see any opportunities. It's your job to create opportunities, to stimulate the market, to make it safe, make it transparent for people to bring their cars, to bring their goods, to travel freely, to travel cheaply. Okay, to provide. You've seen this when you're in the UK. You can create centers that could advise youth about how to start business, how to work, give them how to improve their CVs, attract new companies to come and create opportunities in the country. So it is the job of the government. It's not the job of the youth to create something out of thin air. Of course, the most creative among them is going to survive whatever. But the majority wants to see something viable. They want to see real opportunities for there to grab. Do you understand this point? So it's the duty of the government to solve the problem, not to criticize the youth.
Yes, Mawan, when I'm talking about youth, and particularly the graduates from university who are not doing anything, I start from my own children. I have 5 children who are graduates. Okay? Anytime I go home, I have never been confronted with a program that someone wanted to do, so that I see whether I can afford to help that person to create a job or to do something in which he or she will be able to create jobs for others. I haven't seen it.
No. I mean, I tell you what I'm saying. If you go to Kenya, if you go to Uganda, if you come to the UK, you'll find that the governments have programs to create incentives for people to work. We have not done that. That's the point. It's not about individual children or individual youth. It's just a whole approach to a problem. You have to create incentives. You have to make the opportunity viable for the person.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know government creates or government provide projects, okay, in which youth, as a result, will find themselves being employed. That is why any government of the day, anywhere in the whole world, would come up with the data showing how many people were out of work when they came to power, and how many people they put into work when they came to power. That's why the data is provided to the government to control all this. But imagine, in 2005, when we became an autonomy, there were a lot of money that were utterly misused. And the project that were actually, were earmarked to improve the private sector, that would have been an alternative employing agency, were utterly, misused.
By whom?
That is why something like Zura Saga you heard about. The Zura Saga, okay, became a saga. It was a very good project, but when it was abused, it became a saga. It did not start as a saga. Okay, the government was trying to build the strategic stores for food before the running up to the referendum, because they were anticipating maybe Sudan will try by all means to put a stumbling block in the process of the referendum. And by no means, okay, or putting the stumbling block may force the then government of Southern Sudan to go back to war with the Sudan. So they wanted to store food in a big quantity. That will be given and subsidized, given to the people of South Sudan in a subsidized price. And it was abused. It was abused by who? It was abused by governors. We have the record.
Which are part of the government.
Of course, it was abused by governors.
Yes. So what do you need to do, and what any government would do, which is, let me finish my question, is hold those people to account. Try them, sack them, imprison them, and continue with the schemes. Don't give up the schemes. Continue with the schemes, but now improve on where you went wrong so that they're not abused again. There is no indication that this thing is happening.
Marwan, when you put somebody in prison, somebody who have corrupt, okay, you will find the section or the tribe of the person that is imprisoned coming out in 100, if not 1,000 on numbers, to demand the government to release that person with immediate effect. And it has happened several times. We as people of South Sudan, we became, the blockage of justice in the country.
But it's the role of government to fight that.
The problem is this. The government, in order for a government to be able to effect justice properly, okay, institutions must be built to be stronger than men. When you don't have a stronger institution, you have a strong man or woman. If you have a strong man and women, okay, it's unlikely that you will be able to run the administration effectively. Now in South Sudan, if Marwan from Rumbek is found corrupt and is relieved, the next thing for him is to go to the forest, to rebel. Marwan will rebel. His people will follow him. He will be there with guns, fighting, until a political solution is found in a corruption problem. Something can start as a corrupt problem and end up as a political in the process. And we have a number of things that we can talk about today or tomorrow. Okay? Now, the same person, the same corrupt person, okay, will be anointed through peace process and will be brought back. Maybe sometimes at a chair that is bigger than the chair he was in. Are we not seeing this as a problem? In order for the country to prosper and in order for justice to be properly applied, it is the generality of application. If you apply law generally against anyone who is in the wrong, is where the law can be said to be the best law. President Salva Kiir as a person cannot do everything. Some of them are left for us, the people of South Sudan, to do. Even people are educated. You are living in London. We were living in London together. Okay? Sometimes you don't even know your neighbor, name by name. But if something happened to your house at night, you can't imagine where the police will be actually hearing the problem from. And the police will be coming to your house. If it is the problem, you will be rescued. Because your neighbor has informed the police, telling them that my neighbor is being attacked and I can hear noise. That is not an ordinary. That shows the responsibility of the people. The people are made to be responsible and to become also good citizens, whereby you give What is good for government, you say yes, you acknowledge it. What is bad, the government has done bad, you say government has done this and is wrong. That is how the good citizen behave. But a bad citizen will not see a good thing that is being done. It is only bad thing that is done is what that they see. So our people have to go a long way. And that's why we are saying peace agreement is the only document South Sudan is relying upon. I'm not seeing any other thing. Even the future of South Sudan is mirrored through this revitalized peace agreement of the resolution of conflict in the country. I'm only calling the whole out group, those of Cirilo, those of Along, to join and become part of the government before the 2023, where people will go for election. That is the only way you can see South Sudan. Without this peace agreement, which some people may call it bad, is not perfect. Okay? There is no South Sudan if there is no peace agreement. So we need to acquaint ourselves with the situation, with our own situation. Okay? And see how do we do things together. President Salva Kiir can only provide leadership. He cannot do anything. If I fail to come to the aid of my neighbor, because my neighbor is being attacked, and instead I will tell my children to go into our room and close the room, and somebody was killed as a result of me not even alerting the police, and I am a neighbor. Can you blame Salva Kiir for that? We need to educate our children and our citizens to become good citizens. A good citizen is somebody who can come into aid of his other brothers. Even when you see the driving, the way people drive, in Juba, you will have something even to admire.
I've driven in Juba. It shows selfishness. But
it's only one priority.
Up to the police. It's also up to the police to enforce it. But I'll move on. I'll move on because we are close to the end now. I'll move on to say that you said, there's no way President Kiir can do all this. And I have total sympathy with our president. It's very difficult. And our people are difficult people. South Sudan is a difficult country to govern. There is no question about it. But some people would say some of the president problems, he brought them upon himself, because it should not be President Kiir who's managing all this. It should be the governing SPLM party that should have grassroots, that should have active youth, that should have specialist groups on finance, on politics, on society, on civic behavior, on security, all those. That should happen at the party machine. And in the party machine, that should be feeding the government, feeding Kiir and his colleagues solutions. But people are saying what our president has done is he's locked himself in the room and locked his colleagues out. People like Kwal Manyang, people like many people. And he surrounded himself with what the South Sudanese are saying, our former enemies, the NCP, that are actually running the country now. So what do you say about that? Obviously, what this is suggesting is that President Kiir cannot rely on our former enemies who wanted to destroy the SPLA to solve the problem of South Sudan. It's the SPLM that should. So the president should restore the party, restore the engines of the party, restore the chapters that you used to be part of the chapter in here in the UK, so we can feed solutions to him. How do you answer this question? Accusation against the president?
First of all, let me start by saying that it is not President Kiir who brought this upon himself. It is the situation in which people of South Sudan found themselves since the War of Liberation struggles, 21 years down the line from 1983 to 2005, and later on 6 years of the interim to the independence of the Republic of South Sudan on July 9, 2011. What became the SPLM as a political party was the then Sudan People Liberation Movement / Sudan People Liberation Army, both military and political wing together. Political wing being the first, followed by military wing. They were intertwined and they were going together. After 2008, after 2005, which is 2008, the SPLM called for convention. When it called for convention, governors who were by then military persons of the Sudan People Liberation Army dominated all the process. When people went for election, they did a very big mistake by installing what was called the electoral college. We did not meet the standard of any college anywhere, of which it was only governor to decide who should be given as a flag bearer in one given constituency. And this is where the problem is started. Now, one of the criteria used by them, and this is not, by the way, is not known to President Salva Kiir. It is not President Salva Kiir who asked people to do it. Just because of the literature of the liberation struggle, everybody who has taken arms and was a commander by the time think if there is a position in his constituency, he should be number one. Or if he is not the one, he will be the one to tell people who should be the one to hold it. Okay? By the way, President Salva Kiir recognized the fact that the Republic of South Sudan is owned by the people of South Sudan, including those who were in Mu'tamar Watani, who were in National Congress. If they were in National Congress Party and they are South Sudanese, it is their right to relocate to South Sudan. And if they have anything to offer, they will even be part of this.
No, but it's the SPLM government. It's the SPLM government. I mean, imagine in the UK, if you are the conservative government, you don't isolate your colleagues and bring. Yes, they are citizens of South Sudan. They can come and form their own parties. Are you saying to me that now Tut Keo is the center man and not Kwal Manyang, for example, is good for the SPLM?
No,
is the right thing for people to do?
In this case, I don't want to mention personalities, but let me tell you this. Okay. First of all, there are some liberators who have done wonders in saving this country. And there are some liberators who have almost sink this country. Take it this two ways.
True.
The assumption that whoever is called SPLM must be someone who have either trained in Bongo, in Ethiopia, back to the days of liberation struggle, or if you are not trained in Bongo, then you are trained in Bilfam, the second strongest cadets training for the cadets. Or if not, then you must be trained in the third one, which is Dima. Okay? Then afterwards, you don't recognize anything. Okay? You don't recognize any other training. When in actual fact, the very first 5 were not trained in Bongo. Dr. John, Carbino Kwanyin William Yon, Salva Kiir Mayadi, Arok Tonarok were not trained in Bongo. But those who were trained in these 3 places, Bongo, Bilfam, and Dima, some of them became like having a mentality that will not recognize anyone who had not undergone the training in the 3 places. And this is where the problem is.
So how did the president end up not being with his people and being surrounded by the NCP?
Let me tell you
how did we reach there?
Let me tell you the truth. These people think the president was their colleague. Okay? They will not accord the president the respect he deserved as the president of the country. There's a difference between liberation struggle and the setting up of a sovereign nation are not the same thing. Dr. John has recognized even the diaspora in which you and I came from as the 7th front. Okay? That means those who were in diaspora, those who were in the liberated areas, those who were in the Sudan are recognized under the liberation struggle. And they have also right, given their abilities, to be part of the government of South Sudan. Kwalma Yang, as you said, is one of the senior members of the SPLM. After Salva Kiir, okay, after Daniel Wek, after James Wadiga, after Daniel Wek, Kwalma Yang is the fourth most senior SPLM member, as I speak with you. Okay? He doesn't have to be regulated by anybody, and you cannot compare him with anyone. Whether that person comes from Mu'tamar Watani, or that person comes from diaspora, or that person comes within the SPLM, you cannot compare him with anyone. He has his own place, he does his own thing, and he has the capacity of doing what he does alongside President Salva Kiir. Takes him there. Tut Galwak, if the issue of National Congress taking over, if it is about Tut Galwak is not taking over the SPLM. Tut Galwak, this is a very unique man, by the way, and people of South Sudan need to understand Tut Galwak. This guy has a heart for the country. And Tut Galwak is the last person to bring something that will bring down the SPLM or bring down the Republic of South Sudan. The man has a heart, and the man understands how things are done. And by the way, he did wonders. He is the one who initiated the Sudan peace, and he managed it. Okay, you don't understand how did he do it, but he has managed it. The peace of Sudan, because we cannot have Sudan fighting and South Sudan not fighting, because both wars, affect our two countries in one way or the other. So when Sudan initiated peace for South Sudan, President Salva Kiir initiated peace for Sudan and gave it to Tut Galwak. I doubt if I was given to be the one doing it, I would have even refused. I would have said, no, I cannot make it. People sometimes see people like, with the shape. You look at the person because of the shape you see him or her. But if you don't have the opportunity of going beyond the shape you are seeing, you will not know the person. You will only be assuming that person. Tut Galwak is doing something that will keep President Kiir administration up, and he's head up, because he is initiating projects and programs that helped the legacy of President Salva Kiir. Even now, okay, he is one behind, okay, the initiative for President Salva Kiir also to intervene in the war in Ethiopia, to mediate between Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed and the Tigray leaders.
And what stage is that at now? What stage is that at?
Is it going to happen?
Is it going to happen? Is it going to happen, this mediation?
It's going to happen, yes. It's going to happen. So let us not look at Tut Galwak as a person. Let us look at what is Tut Galwak bringing to the SPLM.
Yes, because I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that. But there's another dimension to Tut Galwak. He is a cadre of NCP who fought during the toughest years against us. He played a big role in dismantling the SPLA and causing some of our leaders, colleagues of the president, to defect at the time to Khartoum. That's one thing. So some people say that his loyalty is still to them, not to us. That's one thing. He might be doing things helping. Wait. That's one thing. Another thing about him, which I've heard, and I want you to deny it, is they say he is playing on the Islamization of South Sudan. He's bringing money from Qatar and Saudi Arabia to propagate Islam in South Sudan. And that's why now we are drumming up this huge Islamic celebrations, which has taken our people by surprise. Because it's one thing for us to be a tolerant society, But there's something completely different if we become to be sort of promoters of this religion, given the history of South Sudan.
You know, I've already said that, you know, when you don't know the person and you don't know the details in which the person is working under, you will always be making assumptions. And every human being has right to make assumptions on a given scenario. But when the reality comes, you will be confronted with a different scenario altogether. One, Tut Galwak has never, because this is a person I saw so closely, and I also analyzed Mr. Mawan. And you know me, I'm a no-nonsense man. When it comes to anything about South Sudan, I don't compromise South Sudan. You know, my detractors will deny this. But I know exactly, you know, what I do for South Sudan. Tut Galwak has even built the office, okay, and gave it to General Kwalmanyang. This is not somebody dividing people. He built the office and furnished the office.
But where does he get the money from?
For General, okay? No, you are not talking about where they get the money from. I'm talking about he built the office. Getting the money from is something else. But I'm talking about the intentions he has for this country. He built the office, okay? And that office, he now is using the underneath, and Kwalmanyang is using up as a senior political advisor to the president, okay? Which is Kwalmanyang, who is the most senior political advisor, and Tut Galwak being the security advisor to the president. They are working, okay, together. When other people see from far, thinking that Tut Galwak is taking over and is loyal to the National Congress, when we bring somebody loyal to National Congress, let me tell you this. There are things that I will not tell you. When is making somebody who is loyal to the National Congress, okay, helping South Sudan in a critical point when South Sudan would have collapsed if he did not contribute to it. I want to leave it for you because there are some things we will not discuss them. They will appear later on in the memo, okay, because the memo will talk about things you have done in the past, not now. Some of them, you cannot say them, they will be classified information, which is punishable under law. But I want to tell people of South Sudan, Tut Galwak has already switched the allegiance from Mu'tamar Watani, and Mu'tamar Watani is no longer anywhere. He switched allegiance and he has come to South Sudan. He's a citizen of South Sudan. Since he came together with the South Sudanese all-out group back to 2013, okay? He came with those of Mapin Montreal, okay? And since he has been the member of the SPLM.
Yeah.
Political cadres are not born, are trained, okay? If there are people who think that they have the DNA of one given political party, this is where their assumption always goes, you know, against those who came to the SPLM and would be helping the SPLM. There are members of the SPLM from 1983 who tried one time to destroy the SPLM to oblivion. But if there is somebody from Mu'tamar Watani who have something to offer to the SPLM, why not? We have to receive and take that thing because he is helping the SPLM. So Tut is helping the SPLM. He's a member of the SPLM. His membership does not match that of Kwalmanyang because Kwalmanyang is in SPLM since 1984 or 83. Okay? Tut Galwak came to the SPLM from 2013. Okay? Ateny Wek went to the SPLM from 1994. Okay? When I went to London and found you in London, it was after I have left Sudan and I have joined the liberation struggle.
That's right.
And I was in the liberated areas until I got my way to London. Now I'm not talking about my membership being bigger than that of Kwalmanyang or being bigger than that of Michael McQuay or being bigger than that of President Kiir or being bigger than anybody that has gone to the SPLM from 93 downward because I came in 94. But I have contributed, I have the contribution. Whatever little contribution that I brought, and I am loyal to the SPLM, should be accepted. If I'm running for any position, I shouldn't be told that you just came to the SPLM lately because you didn't come in 1983. People were not born at the same time. So I'm saying Tut Galwak is not also Islamizing the country. Tut Galwak is a Muslim, yes. But he has something unique. Okay? Something close to you, Mawan. Okay? Instead of being Samuel or John Motat, John Gordon, you have chosen to be Mawan Gordon Motat. Tut Galwak subscribe to that kind of mentality. I am Ateny Wek. I have never had any other name. Okay? So Tut took the Islam as the religion and the faith. That is his right. It is your right to choose any faith. It is your right also to opt out of all of them. So Tut has taken Islam as his religion, but he doesn't preach it. Even his children, he doesn't tell his children to go to mosque. So Tut is not Islamizing the country. But anyway, let us say if he is managing to get money from Qatar, and he has not set up the Dawah, the Islamic Endowment Organization, which can be seen in Juba here, whereby children goes there and learn something about Islam, then there are no money which are Muslim money or money that are Christians. What Dr. John said, a state don't go to church or mosque. Okay, let me paraphrase. Islam and Christianity and Judaism don't have money. If you are given money, provided somebody did not give you money with a certain condition, that money, if you use them wisely, effectively for the benefit of the people of South Sudan, then why not? He has done things that are good for the country, and we take it from there. He initiated peace. The President Salva Kiir initiated peace, and Tut Galwak implemented it until those of Yasser Said Arman, who came yesterday to Juba as the top political advisor to Prime Minister Amdo. This is the work of Tut Galwak. He's the one who did it. Helping the president legacy. So why not? If there are people who are saying Tut Galwak is a Mu'tabar Watani, they are envying him. And envy is human. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ateny. Ateny, I appreciate all the time you've given me. Just for 2 minutes, is there something I haven't asked you that you want to tell the people of South Sudan or the coalition to reassure them that the interests of South Sudan is what the government is concerned with, and that government has no separate agenda other than to serve the people of South Sudan and deliver democracy and peace?
Well, as we sit in the midst of the implementation of the revitalized peace agreement or the resolution of conflict in the country, and as you see, President Salva Kiir and Dr. Wek are working together in spite of some small difficulties here and there. Difficulties in regards to the view of the one given person among them, whether President Kiir has a view or Dr. Wek has a view, but they are working together anyway. Because this time, even for the last 2 years, President Salva Kiir is the one guiding Dr. Wek. It has even brought us to the point that the reason for having two armies during the 2015 agreement was to be lamented forever. Simply because if a security is unified in the country, then the country can prosper properly. What I see as a way forward for people of South Sudan, and particularly the supporters of the leaders of the parties in the agreement on and the former voice is to listen to those they are supporting, because Dr. Riak and President Salva Kiir are working together, and there's no need for anyone who is supporting each of them not to work with the other. There are some people who are still holding their breath when they see the SPLM-IO member coming to the office of the president. And there are those who hold their breath when they see somebody from the office of the president before the signing of the agreement going to the side of Victoria. But the truth of the matter is that, in spite of all the parties that signed the agreement, they are members of the Transitional National Unity Government, and they are to work together under this name. If anybody goes against them, you will be going against all of them, IO and the SPLM in totality. You will not be going against the SPLM-IO without touching the SPLM. You will not be going against the SPLM without touching the OPP and the FDs and so on. Because this is the body. It is like attacking one of your heads or attacking one of your legs. They are both organs within your body, which are the one making you to be you. So I want people of South Sudan to see this and work collaboratively among each other to ensure the peace agreement is properly implemented, leave creating lies, leave creating stories that fragment the process of running the administration in the country. Let us go for election in peace and choose our leaders willingly. That's the only way South Sudan can come out from all this fight. If we start organizing our section against other sections, our clan against other clans, our tribes against other tribes, we will have infighting South Sudan that will never prosper, will never be part of the countries that are prospering within the planet Earth.
Thank you so much, Ateny Wek, for your time. It's been a delight for RBC to have this lengthened talk with you, and I'm really hoping forward to be able to see you again next time.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy, and please, my regards to your family and all those who are still in London.
Thank you so much. Thanks. Goodbye, Ateny Wek.
Thank you so much.